All right, welcome to what we're calling
You're gonna give the review.
Ghibli review series. Ghibli
Yes.
review series. Starting off first episode with my neighbor Totoro.
The big bunny thing? Like, it's never specified what he is,
Yeah,
creature wise.
I don't know. Well, forest spirit, I guess.
He's specified as a forest spirit, but, like, creature wise, he's not specified if it's a rabbit, if he's a
I don't know.
raccoon, what he is, which is interesting.
Maybe he's supposed to be like a mixture of.
Maybe this is Tanuki,
Yeah.
which would be very on brand. But so Totoro opens up with a very sing-song title intro crawl, which is like, here's everyone who works on it, here's all the cutesy characters you'll see, just here's the funness, we're having it fun, having the energy.
Yeah. Starts with the credits, so
Yeah.
you can tell it's an older movie.
Yes, it immediately starts with the credits. Unlike some other ones, it just intro to credits. And then it feels like it has, for me anyway, it felt like it had a lot of build up before it like starts, like the story formally starts.
Yeah.
Because it's this long series of scenes of them just traveling
Right.
to their new house,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nothing but we're transitioning from one scene of them traveling to the next scene of them traveling.
Yeah.
To the next scene of them traveling. Like it drags on and on and on. Of just to try and emphasize they're going a long way to get to their house.
Yeah, and then the intro to the house, and also I think like this time, like the first start when they're traveling, I think for me felt like wartime. Felt like they're getting away from the city, getting away from something, and a peaceful place.
Yes,
but that does not really turn out to be the case.
Not at all.
As the movie goes on, which is interesting.
They also seem to emphasize the strong family bonds that they have early on, which kind of plays into the main story's themes of like emotion and connection.
Yeah.
And how clearly the strong family bond is emphasized for that reason.
Yeah, they definitely emphasize family bond. They emphasize childlike wonder, curiosity. It's very kid focused, very
kid focused. Yeah. Kids seem to be not only like the main entity that interacts with things, but like this is meant to be a kids movie kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the first thing they kind of do at their house is they find acorns everywhere that are like pseudo being given to them.
Yeah.
But they're everywhere. I mean, they're falling off the ceiling, they're falling onto the floor.
Yeah.
Just acorn after acorn after acorn.
The acorns. You get the soot sprites as well.
Yes.
Got a lot of interesting things going on at the house.
Yes.
Not entirely sure they explain the like meaning or symbolism of the acorn, if it means anything except for forest, nature, tree, whatever.
I think they imply the symbolism, but they don't actually ever specify. To your point, they don't specify it. It's just like, here's the symbol of nature. This is what we're using.
Yeah, which I guess it's kind of how symbols work.
That is kind of how symbols work. But it's interesting that they have that be a symbol that's throughout, that's never really specified as it has any, like what its purpose is. Like, is it just to plant the tree that they get into later on, or is it more their whole purpose is to be like a currency?
Right.
So like this exchange of human to nature.
Right. But the house, we start off with the soot sprites.
Yes.
Which kind of are introduced in like a horror-esque manner. Like they think that house is haunted, or whatever, or something like that. They think there's ghosts there. And the family is ecstatic.
The family is super excited that there's something.
For some reason.
There's something there. Oh boy, what is it? Is it ghosts? Is it goblins? Is it what?
Which I think, I guess that plays into the child wonder, child curiosity. And also, I think since I thought it was wartime or something, I was thinking that maybe like they're kind of coping with their struggle by humor, by kind of lighthearted things, or just like finding fun in everything.
Yep. Then we get into, they're in the house for a little bit, and we get into this first scene, which is very interesting from a Western standpoint of them all being in the bath.
Yes.
Which is just from a Western standpoint, it seems odd to us, but in the cultural, it makes sense.
Yeah, and a little bit for the time as well.
Right.
These were maybe a little younger in their age at that time, and a little like the floodgates were open.
Yes.
There was
Yes.
a lot that could happen. So
Yes.
yeah, but like nowadays, and especially
If you want to do something like that, you'd be
taboo.
that'd be taboo as all get out.
Mm-mm.
Which is it's interesting that that's the choice they made. But again, from a cultural standpoint, it makes sense because in
Right.
Japan, it's like a
Yeah, it's
that's a very
pretty
just
normal
it's
thing.
what it is.
They got the onsens and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then we find out that the mother is in the hospital. Their mother is in the hospital, and we never really get specified why she's in the hospital.
Right.
She's sick is basically the only explanation they give.
Yeah.
But it's never like is she sick with an immune disease? She's sick with polio or something of that nature.
Yeah.
It's just she's sick.
Yeah.
And that's all they give.
Yeah. And it seems serious because apparently she's been in there for quite a
They've been in there for months, yeah.
Um,
But it's never it's not serious. It's not so serious that she's not recovering from it.
yeah.
Because the story beat is supposedly she's going to be out soon and be able to come visit them at home.
Yeah. That gets later on into the climax. That's what it gets into.
Yes.
But yeah, but like she never like it never really seems like she's like on her deathbed necessarily.
Right.
Like, it kind of does in the sense that she's been in the hospital for such a long time. She's there, but especially when
Not
you
unhealthy
see
enough.
her, like
Yeah.
she does not look on her deathbed. She looks generally just fine.
She is just fatigued,
Yeah.
which I think is very much plays again into this unknown disease.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we go into the smallest Mia of girl who just follows these two like Totoro-esque characters, like mini Totoros.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
One with like a little sack, and then one that's just like has a leaf sprouting out of its head, and just kind of they're wandering around. She's just kind of chasing after them, like very much like we said, like the childlike wonder, childlike play, and is just following them around, which leads to this. It leads her to under the house. She sees them again under the house as they're leaving, and chases after them into like the bushes in her backyard.
Yeah.
From there, she's like transported to the base of the tree.
Yeah. This is the smallest sister, the little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And the dad is like right there and just doesn't
Pays no attention.
no mind to this going on, which is a thing that happens throughout the movie. The adults
seem to pay no attention to.
Kind of badly,
Yeah.
leave them unsupervised.
Yeah.
But I guess like it's in like a rural small town. Maybe they think like, oh, like they're fine. Like
I can trust the town or whatever, but it is an interesting level of trust because it is completely ignored,
and especially because they're new to town.
Yeah.
They're just there.
But
yeah, she goes off. The mini Totoros like are interesting because are they like family? Are they going to grow into the big Totoro, or are they just little helpers?
Yeah.
We don't really know.
And then it's never touched on.
Yeah.
It's never explained. It's like, what's the purpose of these little ones?
But they are there though.
Yes, they are there.
Yes, and then she gets transported in some magical way. Initially, it very much so seems like she just naturally leaves there, like, oh, that's just where the path goes.
Right.
But then later, when she comes
A
back,
few scenes later, she's trying to show everyone this is the way I went, this is what happened, and it just loops her.
Yeah, and
it just
blocked off.
Loops from in the bush to out the bush, in the bush to out the bush.
Yeah, so we get this magical
sense of like there's a
Alice
portal or
type stuff.
Yeah.
And
as soon as she first meets Totoro.
She meets Totoro, yes.
And Totoro is friendly-ish. Like to her, it just looks like a big fuzzy thing that's friendly. To me, it was like big fuzzy thing that could eat me in one bite. Yes. I'm not sure that's a friendly thing.
Totoro looks like watching these things back. He looks oddly creepy. Like
yes.
He's very friendly. He looks cute. Sometimes.
Yes.
Arguably a lot of times, but when he opens his mouth, when he roars, when he like smiles, he looks weird.
He looks weird.
But the kids do not care.
The kids do. They're excited by it. They're like, oh, this thing is wants to be friends and wants to play.
Yeah. Which actually is another thing because like they were ecstatic about the haunted house. So maybe it's just like
maybe they just don't have a fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe they just like this stuff. So she's like laying on top of him. And
And he's like, oh, he's roaring out the big,
Yeah.
oh, no, kind
Yeah,
of thing.
which initially, like, it kind of came off to me as like he's trying to scare her off.
That's what I thought too initially,
Right.
until the second time he does it, where he's a lot more calm and like thoroughput. Like,
Yeah,
I think the first one might be like, go away, but then the second one's like, oh, okay, you're here just to chill, okay.
yeah. But then, yeah, he starts to. It seems like he's starting to say like his name, like
Yeah.
that's what his name is, and you can kind of hear that he's.
You kind of hear Totoro, yeah.
So maybe that's just how he talks, right?
From there, we go to we go inside. We meet Granny, and Granny talks about how Totoro is probably a forest spirit, and how they'll only be seen when they want to be seen, and they'll only interact if they want to interact.
Right.
This iffy property.
The adults play into it.
They play into it, and they seem to understand it, which is weird.
Yeah, it's almost like they know it. Maybe like Granny's seen Totoro.
Yeah.
When he was younger.
Yeah, because she mentions early on that like I used to see forest spirits all the time when I was your age, but she never mentions that she's seen one recently, or if that was actually a thing, or just.
So that's when we start getting into like maybe the adults can't see it.
Right.
Maybe it's
invisible to anyone who doesn't. Who's not in an emotional state. Like you have to be in a heightened emotional state maybe to see it, or something has to be going on for you to be able to see it.
Yeah.
But it's never specified what or how.
Yeah.
From there, Kanta is first shown, who's this other young kid in the area who seems to have an interest in the older sister.
Yes, they are bringing in the almost romantic interest, except they never really focus on that.
Right.
But he is there.
He is 100% there.
And he has like 2 lines.
Yeah, he has like 2 lines, maybe 3. There might be a third mention.
Lines.
And it's nothing ever. The lines are never anything except just here's content. That's it. It's not even context. It's not just like we need him to say something. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So very interesting, but he's also very shy. I guess he's very shy. He's very awkward, and you can tell he's nervous around her.
And then they go to school. She goes to school. She comes back, and it starts raining. And Kanta comes up to them and is like, for lack of a better word, forces the umbrella on them.
Yeah, like he's trying to be nice, but he's kind of awkward with it, and he's just like,
here. He doesn't.
And
then when they don't,
just like,
yeah. And then when they don't take it, he just leaves it and runs off.
Yeah. So which is fun.
It is. It's funny, but it's very much like the kid spirit thing. It's like I am interested. I don't know how to deal with these emotions. This is how I deal with it. Right. So from there, we get the second meeting of Totoro. After the girls go home to grab their father's umbrella because it's raining, then they go to the bus stop, and Totoro is there. And they kind of just sort of like, well, you're getting wet here. Why don't you use our dad's umbrella? And Totoro is fascinated by it.
Right.
Like, this is super cool.
Yeah. I guess he's never used an umbrella. If other kids have seen him, maybe that's a little weird. Like maybe he would use an umbrella at this point, but I guess he hasn't used an umbrella. I think he was fascinated by like the rain droplets on the umbrella.
Yes,
like the sound it made.
The sound it made seemed to like it's emphasized that when it's making the sound, it's not sure if it's like because it's like fireworks sounding or what it is.
Right.
But it's the sound of droplets on the umbrella, and you just see him do this huge grin of like, "Oh, this is amazing, man."
Yeah. The creepy grin. Oh.
It is creepy, but because it's huge.
Right.
And it's just, but it's like, oh, I get to enjoy the dryness and hear this awesome sound. Yeah. So cool.
Which I think I really like that you like thought fireworks. Like,
yes.
Like for me, yes. I was just like, oh yeah, he just likes the sound. Like he's a weird spirit or whatever. Heard this.
But for me, it was very much that sense of, because it's halting all other audio, it makes it sound like a fireworks going off. I was like, maybe that's a connotation of like celebration or happiness.
Yeah.
Especially because as a spirit, maybe he's used to that, and that's why he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
But it's never really touched on specifically.
Right.
It's just like reference that he likes the sound.
Right. Yeah. And then, well, first of all, the dad is very late.
Extremely late.
late.
Misses not the first bus and the second bus.
Yeah.
And it's just completely late. Totoro seems to be watching over them in some manner,
Mm-hmm.
until Totoro's bus comes.
Yeah.
But it's not a bus; it's a cat
It's
bus.
a cat bus. The cat bus is. I love the cat bus.
The cat bus is amazing.
This is sick.
Because
But it is creepy.
it's creepy because it shares that same big facial feature and super grin.
And like the way it's like its whole body is the bus.
Yeah.
And it like moves to like open the door.
I thought the creepiest part to me was the fact that his eyes are lights.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing where it's looking.
Yeah.
That's just weird. Like it has a weird connotation to me.
He looks a little bit. Maybe I think he's creepy because he looks like the purple cat in Alice in Wonderland.
I can see the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah. The Cheshire Cat.
Yeah, I can see that. He's very much Cheshire Cat.
Yeah.
Like just I'm here and I'm just chilling, but I'm weird.
He is creepy sometimes.
So when Totoro gets on the cat bus, and the thing that I feel like is an honorable mention of this is the cat bus doesn't have a door until it like opens and creates a door,
yeah,
and then just disappears back.
Like, moves its skin and
yeah,
like, whatever.
Like that's not really creepy at all. No, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But Totoro gets on.
He gifts acorns for the umbrella.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He returns the favor of them being nice to them with acorn.
So coming back to acorn.
Coming back to the plant currency, maybe.
Yeah, right.
And then it goes off, and you can't because we don't speak Japanese. We couldn't read what it said. And later on, you realize that whatever it says on it is where it's going.
Right.
But like it's going somewhere, and it's never really shown where.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I assume just back to the tree or something. It does like beg the question of why is he at the bus stop in the first place? Like, what was he doing? Why is he there?
But he goes on the cat bus. Cat bus goes away, and then Dad shows up. Yay, Dad's here.
Yeah, yay, Dad's here.
And then they go back home and just kind of relax. And
they plant.
They plant the seed, the acorn seeds.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, they're not. It goes a couple days. It's like, well, it's not growing. Why isn't it growing? We don't know why it's not growing. Why isn't it growing?
Yeah.
And then that night, Totoro the Totoro creatures are doing like a dance around it, like this summoning, raising dance thing. And the girls decide, hey, well, let's go join in. So they all start dancing around it, and from them sprouts a massive tree. And then Dad's just in the office like, oh yeah, man, this numbers, they suck. I don't know.
Yeah,
flipping numbers, man.
He does not notice at all. I don't even think he's doing a number. He's like writing a book or something.
He's doing something.
His
hands on his head. He's like, oh man, it's so stressed. And I don't know what's going on.
It's massive.
It is. How you could miss it, I don't know.
I don't know.
But it is huge. Yeah. It was reverberating the earth and everything. Dad pays no attention.
Which, like, maybe adults can't see this stuff. Maybe it's just a thing. And then also, maybe you could say maybe this specific part was a dream or something.
Yes.
Maybe they're dreaming that.
Yep. Because it is late at night at this time.
Yeah.
But on like the first time.
But it does seem a little weird if it's a dream, because they do actually like sprout a little bit, but they're not like.
They sprout the next day, the next morning, if they're like sprouted.
Yeah.
But
before that,
they get to ride Totoro's stomach as Totoro rides to the top of the tree.
He rides a little top spinner thing. Yep. Almost looks like a Beyblade, maybe, if you prefer that.
Yeah. Beyblade or maybe one of those pull string tops.
Yeah.
Where it just spins and rotates and has that very even keel to it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting. They bring it up this time.
And never again.
And I guess it's just a little gadget that he has.
He just happens to have a top on him. Who knows?
Yeah.
What's the purpose of it? I don't know.
Nah.
It's a divining top, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he could have just flown. Like, maybe
he could just like, fly up to do the thing, or...
Maybe he had like a leaf umbrella or something, like magical leaf umbrella that pulls him up.
Or maybe he could have had just like natural... Because they show in certain parts that the wind seems to affect him. And he has an effect with the wind. So maybe it's just like you just use the wind to fly.
Right.
But it never really mentioned or shown.
Right. But
they get to the top of the tree, they hang out, they have fun, and then Next day comes, the trees are starting to sprout, and um, the older sister gets a telegram, which again dates the whole thing very severely.
Yeah.
And they're still using telegrams, even though they have phones, because
Yeah.
the telegram is literally, "Hey, call the hospital."
Yeah. Yeah, I think first like the tree sprouts and they're excited and whatnot, and then Dad goes off to work, and then they go with Granny in the cornfield
Yes, and, well, it's more than corn; it's the vegetable field.
or the vegetable field. But
The corn's the
little
icon.
sister, they're
The corn's the
picking
icon.
corn,
Yeah.
and the little sister has like her corn, and she's like, "Oh, like if I give this to Mom, will she like it or will she feel
Must
better?"
feel better. He's like, "Oh, no doubt about it."
And there's
That's
no doubt about it, of
100%.
course, like playing at the kids.
Yep.
And then yeah, they get the telegram,
And so she has to go over to Constance's house
yeah,
to use the phone
yeah,
to call their dad at some university. It's never specified what kind or
like
where,
yeah, he
but
works
just he works
somewhere
at a university.
in Tokyo.
Yeah,
In Tokyo, he works somewhere in Tokyo.
yeah.
We don't really fully know where. I guess it's some university or something.
They say he works at university,
Right.
so it's some university in Tokyo.
We don't know what his job is. We don't know. I mean, maybe I guess you'd assume a professor,
A professor, or maybe
he's
like
a
a
librarian
secretary or something.
Secretary.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But we call her up at his job. He says he'll look into it. Of course, the older sister is super distraught.
Yeah,
because
kids are freaking out.
Yeah.
Which I think, like as kids, maybe they're blowing it up in their head a little bit.
100%.
100%.
100%. They're taking it out of proportion from what it really is.
Yeah.
And it leads to kind of like the climactic problem of the sisters have a fight. And the older sister looks at the younger one and is like, "Look, you're such a baby. Stop being such a baby. It's not.
Yeah.
You have to grow up." And of course, she gets upset by this and runs off.
Yeah.
Trying to get to the hospital and give Mom the corn from earlier, and gets lost.
Yeah, for the second time. Yeah, Satsuki gets mad. Satsuki's like got a front. Satsuki's
Yes.
sister, she's got a front.
Yep.
Mei is very much so little sister.
Yep.
Very emotional. And yeah, like they have a clash, and yeah, and then I think also like a little before that, Satsuki like they're kind of like mad at each other, and then Satsuki starts talking to Grandma, and then like she like breaks out into a full bawl, which like I thought was a little weird because sometimes the same thing happens with the dialogue. Sometimes the spacing is sometimes a little weird.
Yep.
Which I wonder if maybe that's like time constraints or something. But yeah, but like she's like talking to Granny, and I get she's like heightened emotionally, but then like bawling immediately.
Oh yeah.
No like lead into it, like starts crying and then like just bawling immediately, which was crazy. And Mei runs away once again unsupervised.
Completely unsupervised. And this time there seems to be actual danger represented because it's like everyone starts searching for her.
Yeah.
And no one can find her.
Yeah.
So,
the only maybe grace I give is she did kind of sneak out a little bit.
A little bit.
Like the other time she was playing is like fully unsupervised, could have been supervised, and he was right there.
Right.
But this time.
But now she actually runs off.
But still, like a little responsibility on the adult's part, maybe.
Yes. And then I have an honorable mention to the fact that the phone she uses is very much the old Alexander Graham Bell style, where it's here's the talk piece, here's an earpiece you hold up to your ear, this is how you communicate, it has the rotary and everything.
Yeah, which like obviously could just be like the setting and like that makes sense, but also it's just
it still dates it.
It still dates it a little bit.
But we go from this traumatic breakdown to sister and everyone's searching for her. And she can't find her. She's looked. She feels like she's out of options. So she goes up to the bush where Sasuke, Mei went and saw Totoro for the first time. And Sasuke's pleading, like, "I need to see Totoro. He can help me."
Yeah.
Which seems to work for some reason.
So like maybe heightened emotions.
Yeah.
Summons the spirit, or maybe he shows up when he's needed. Or something.
But Totoro does appear, and then he not even like Cat Bus just shows up. I don't know if it was called or what.
Right.
But Cat Bus shows up and she boards it, and this is where we get the fact that whatever the sign says is where the Cat Bus is going.
Right.
And it changes from wherever it was to Mei, the sister's name.
Yeah. So the Cat Bus can go anywhere, and also I think we talked about a little bit. maybe the cat bus is like the wind or
Yes.
something. Because
Yes.
I think you said some people said like they can.
Because later on you see the scene where they're running along and then it's running through like past people and in between people, and all you're seeing from one side is wind,
Right.
but for the kids they're on the bus riding it through.
Right. So maybe the cat bus is kind of the wind, or at least blends
Could be
in.
the spirit of the wind, yeah.
Right.
But she's on the cat bus, and then they get to May, and May's safe and happy, and well, they solve their problem. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." They get happy again. Everyone gets pleased, and then they reboard May and Satsuki board the cat bus, and they go to the hospital.
Right. And so this is the final scene. The climax has happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's been sort of resolved, and now we're in the falling action, whatever,
Yep.
resolution. And you would think that they would go meet the mom.
You would think they would at least go through the window or something,
Right.
where they see their mom and actually talk to them. But instead, they go up into a tree.
Yeah.
And just sit there.
And they watch
watch
from afar.
They like stalk their family.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because the dad's there now because he's like, I can't find them.
Yeah.
So the dad's there, and then mom's just like, oh, I'm sure they're fine.
Right.
And then for a moment, we get this like scenario break because the mom thinks that she sees them.
Right. Yeah. So the mom which is kind of offbeat for the whole like maybe adults can't see them or something like that, but the mom can. Maybe she just sees the daughters because maybe the daughters aren't like affected by the spiritual thing. Maybe the mom can see them because maybe she's, I don't know, somewhat childlike. Maybe because she's been in the hospital for the entire time, so she's maybe in like a more curious state or something, or maybe she's heightened emotionally so she can see them. It's not
clear.
We don't really know.
Yeah.
But she vaguely sees them, and then the dad playing into the idea that like, you know, they do know about these spirits, maybe they know it's a real thing. He's like, well, you might be right.
Yep.
Because
they find the corn, which says to mom on it.
Yeah, she's like the little sister is literally engraved it on the corn instead of talking to her mom because of the corn engraved.
Yep.
Which is sweet, but it is weird.
It's weird.
Why don't you just go talk? Why don't you just give?
Why don't you sit? Why don't you go hug her and give it to her yourself?
Nope. Why don't you see them so you let them know that you're safe? You're safe.
Yep.
Which they, you know, I'm sure they cover that. They let them know earlier, or later, but. And
then you get the outro, which is very much you get the sing-song outro, which is like very reminiscent of kids' movies, where it's just like it's very upbeat tune. It's talking about Totoro. It's just like da 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 da. And it kind of that plays you out, which again plays in this whole kids theme continually, and how like as a kid you're very upbeat, you're very joyous, you're very going with the flow of things, not so much worried about the world around you as much. Which kind of plays very differently and dynamic to the next one we get into. Yeah. The next one we get into, well, first of all, let's say overall, overall, the movie is good. I think it's good. It is good. It's a good movie. We know that. Yes. The art style is amazing. Yes. I love the backdrops are very painter-esque. Yes. Very like drawing-like, whereas the animation kind of is different. The animation stood the test of time because it doesn't age very hard. It's something that looks very well animated, even though it's from like 1989. Right. Like it aged very much like a wine, whereas it looks very nice even now. Yeah. So that's all great, and that's probably like the biggest thing about these movies. These movies have amazing art style, amazing animation, and it's awesome. But it leads us into what we'll talk about next time, which is Kiki's Delivery Service. Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah, getting more into teenage angst and energies, and growing up sucks and working sucks, and just that's the nature of growing up. But with that, that's next episode. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.